What up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What up, America? What's good with you? It's your boy Ron and Don, and this is exclusively the Brooklyn Beers and Ball Sports Show. We are here live and direct as always. Listen, it is on and popping. We got so much good stuff to talk about today. You know, we got to get into the preview week 14. It's going to be on and popping. NFL, NBA. You know what we do here. That's how we do it. And listen, before we jump into this thing, we need you to smash that like button, all right? Listen, comment throughout the show. We need you to subscribe. We need you to share. We need you to be a part of this movement that we're doing here because we're coming live and we are real with the Brooklyn Beard and Ball Sports Show. So listen, D, what's up with you, man? You ready to rock and roll, man?
Oh man, it's all good, man. I'm excited. Week 14 is, NFL season's flying by. NBA is heating up. Teams are
Yes, it
starting to
is.
come into form.
Yes, it is.
We have some exciting news. We have a special guest coming on later in the show, N'Gai
Looking
Croal,
forward to it. Yes, yes.
talking sports, NBA,
Yes.
and the culture. So
Yep.
it's going to be a really good show. We'll take pleasure in destroying you once again.
America,
if
y'all know better.
you be the judge.
Yes.
Streets are talking.
Yes,
But
the
in any
streets are
case,
talking.
I'm ready. Let's get into it, man. As stated, it's week 14 in the NFL. We have 6 teams on a bye, 6 NFL teams on a bye. So obviously, it's not any of the important teams. There are just 6 teams. The Niners are playing. I think the Dallas Cowboys are playing.
Of
So
course we are.
we're all
The
locked in.
ratings will let you know that, of course.
Right, exactly. But in any case, I mean, we have some of the games are so, but we do have 2 exciting games that we're going to preview. First game, of course, is the San Francisco 49ers versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, of course, Tom Brady, after his miracle come from behind win, he's excited because he's coming back home. Bay Area, Tom Brady grew up idolizing Joe Montana. He's always wanted to play for the 49ers. 2 times he asked since he left New England, could he play? Could he, be a member of such a great team, the 49ers? And both times we said no. No, thank you. We don't want your services. And so I know Tom Brady is, as great as he is, I know that he takes those subtle slights, and that's not a subtle slight. When someone tells you they don't want you, that's not a subtle slight. It hurts. It has to hurt. And especially idolizing kind of hometown boy coming back to play for his team that he always grew up loving and admiring. They said, nah, we good with what you consider, and I'm sure what he's considered lesser talent. The Jimmy G's of the world, the Trey Lance before he got injured. We're like, nah, we're good where we're at. So moving forward, so you got the Sunday game, Tampa Bay, who just came back. Like I said, Tom Brady had some kind of miracle win, whether it was the defense of the other team, whether, Tom Brady worked his magic. In any case, they got the W. And mind you, they're only 6-6. So, I mean, and they're winning their division. So they come to San Francisco. We got Brock Purdy, his first start. I mean, he came in relief of Jimmy G last week, who had his foot broken. But we got some good news. Jimmy G avoided the Liz Frank injury, which would be definite out for the season. They said that there is a chance that he can come back if the rehab and everything goes well within 7 to 8 weeks. Well, Super Bowl is in 10 weeks. Super Bowl's in 10 weeks. So I know you don't look like that. You don't look towards Super Bowl stuff, but a team
one game at a time. But go ahead.
Yeah, one game at a time. A team equipped like the 49ers is looking at the big picture. So, with the Super Bowl being 10 weeks away, Jimmy G 7 or 8 weeks, there is a chance. But Brock Purdy is, the team is rallying behind him and around him, and they said that he's confident. And I like our chances. What do you say?
Well, look, I think this is all about the 49ers starting a brand new season. At least that's how I look at it. You got Brock Purdy. So now everything resets, right? Because you got a brand new quarterback. You got a guy who's actually now going to actually literally take the reins for the 49ers offensively. So everyone is looking, everyone is watching. We don't really know what to expect because it's just not enough on this guy to know what he can do. So everyone is trusting Kyle Shanahan to put him in the best positions to win. And you have to now look at this season as a reset to say, okay, everything the 49ers have done up to this point, offensively, that is, now you have to look at what it's going to be going forward with Purdy. Now, again, you got playmakers around you. You got the Kittles, you got the CMCs, you got the Debos, you got the Ayuk. So these guys, again, are going to even step up what I believe a little bit more. This game should not be a problem for the Buccaneers. I'm sorry, for the San Francisco 49ers, because 49ers defensively, they only give up about 73 yards rushing. And of course, we know Tampa Bay has been deplorable in the running game. They barely average about 75 games rushing the football. And the 49ers give up about almost 30 yards less per game in the passing game than what the Buccaneers actually average. So to me, this game is going to come down to, again, just managing the clock, doing what they got to do. If the offense for the Winers can do what they need to do, which again, manage the game, hold the clock up, keep Brady on the sideline. Again, the formula is very easy. I don't think it's rocket science, and I think Shanahan understands that. Don't get too cute, even if Purdy's kind of feeling something there. Just stay within the confines of what his capabilities are, and I think you'll be fine. And again, the Buccaneers, look, this is the last hurrah for Brady. Brady is celebrating victories like as if he was winning the Super Bowl. It's like every game that they win, that they are able to overcome by the sweat of their brow. It's like, oh my God, they just so elated. And Brady's like, smiling, feeling good. Look, this guy getting wins was like something he would do. It's like breathing while he was sleeping. It came just involuntary for him. But now it's a struggle. And again, offensively, this team just doesn't have it. The Saints gave away that game last week. I think it was more about them than it was the Buccaneers, if anything else. So again, but you did say something interesting. If Brady finds any level, which I'm sure he has already, and it's already been suggested that he has this week, that he's found something to give him some incentive about the 49ers, in playing for them and not having an opportunity to play for him, play for them. Listen, that's all you'll need at least to get a very, very competitive game. But look, you guys should win. You guys should win. I'm interested to see what Purdy does in this game. We saw what happened in Miami, came in as a relief. Now he gets to start. Let's see what he looks like.
Well, I think it'll be um, I think it'll benefit him to have first team snaps, and it's a different
Yeah.
mentality, a different mindset when you're coming in relief, as opposed to being the man. This is your team. You're required to, whether it's managing the game or actually making those few plays that put your team over the top. I think Brock Purdy he's no longer going to be, and on this show, he's no longer going to be referred to as Mr. Irrelevant. He's very relevant. He is the starting quarterback on a potential Super Bowl team. So we're gonna give him a little more respect than that.
Well, I never called him Mr. Irrelevant. So,
Well, I think you did. You didn't do it this show so far, but I think if the reviewers
I
go
think
back,
offline we've talked.
yeah, no. But on the show, you were
Oh,
trying
have I?
to, yeah,
Okay.
you were calling him Prudy. You were calling him Trudy, Prudy. You were calling him every other name out the book. Everything Udi, every
Well,
ooh you were adding. So,
he
after
was
I think
Iuki.
it's
That's it.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. I
Right.
think it's going to be, I think step by step, and as he gets, command of the offense, because let's be clear,
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan is such a offensive genius that he's made, Nick Mullins look great. So it's
Yeah.
the offense, and the 49ers team
Serviceable.
is not, as we had said previously, is not based on the quarterback being so dynamic. The quarterback, for the most part, even with Jimmy G, I'm sure with Trey Lance, he would have been, he was expected, because of his arm and his legs, expected to be more of an explosive offensive player or quarterback. But for the most part, if you manage I think all the other parts of the 49ers, the defense, obviously, which is dominating, special teams, and the playmakers, that is, if you work within the system, I think he'll be perfectly fine. I think we will get the W. Of course, maybe from just a respect point, I don't think we'll run up the score on Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. I think there's some mutual respect from that standpoint, but I think my opinion and what I'm guessing how the game is going to go. It will never seem like the Buccaneers have a chance to win the game, but maybe the score is closer than the actual, the final score is closer than, what the game, how it all played out.
Well, I'll say this, though. I'll say this. And the Buccaneers actually have a pretty decent defense on the back end. They've improved over the course of the season. So they give up about 217 passing yards a game, which is pretty good. Now, again, you don't know what Purdy is able to do, right? We saw him play well, and he came in for, let's just say, for most of the game for the 49, right? Because I think Garoppolo only played about a series or two, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
But listen, Kyle Shanahan, as great as the boy wonder is, his career comes down to one play. That sums his whole career. When you look at when he was the OC in Atlanta in the Super Bowl, that one play, and everyone talks, if they just ran the ball instead of giving Matt Ryan an opportunity to throw the ball, excuse me, all they needed was 3 more points. That game then is pretty much closed, okay? We look at what happened in the Super Bowl. We saw what happened with Jimmy G, his quarterback being able to make a play, and then also last year in the NFC Championship, again, making a play. Kyle Shanahan's career always comes down to a crucial moment. He'll give you everything that he's got to give you during the course of a game and even the course of a season. But the knock on him, like it's going to be in most situations, like most superstar athletes we've seen, they're great in regular season, they're great in the postseason, but when it comes time to close the deal, can they do it? Now, Kyle is not on the field. We know that. But again, it's about having someone, and this is what Kyle is thinking about. He's hoping that Purdy can be that guy to make that one play. If Purdy can make that one play, then listen, you might have something going forward in the future, and you might be able to walk away from Jimmy G and still keep your boy, keep your boy Trey in the mix as well.
Well, they're actually saying that Jimmy G is open to return to the Niners for 2023, which is good because it's who's to say Trey Lance, although they were actually handing the keys over to Trey Lance, he clearly did not have from his college experience. He doesn't even have the experience that Brock Purdy has, to be honest. So Brock Purdy played 4 full years at Iowa State. So I think from that standpoint, if Jimmy G is willing to come back and he's ready to come back at the right price, I think we would welcome him back because Jimmy G, percentage-wise, he's a winner.
He is, but
because the Niners, unfortunately, are going to fall into the same kind of boat because remember, Jimmy G was untradeable not because he wasn't good, but he was coming off a surgery. He had shoulder surgery. So he's going to be coming off a foot surgery. So there may not be a crazy market for him. Not to mention that college this is going to be a good draft class for quarterbacks. So it might be something where we get Jimmy G for cheap. I mean, we got him relatively for what he started to do once Trey Lance went down. I mean, we got him for cheap, considering he was able to renegotiate that contract. He wasn't getting anything crazy. So if the numbers work, I don't see why we wouldn't, keep him an additional year.
I'm going to tell you why I think that won't happen. And here's the thing. If Purdy plays well, right, and really plays just beyond a serviceable type of effort and keep you guys competitive, you win your division, say you go deep in the playoffs. And again, Jimmy's not out for the season, right? So he can come back. But him coming back is contingent upon Purdy. If Purdy's playing well, bye-bye Jimmy, no matter what the price is, because you won't need him at all. In fact, another team will most likely, because he would be a free agent if I'm not mistaken, right after this year. So
right.
Another team would sign him, and they may get a team like New Orleans that needs a quarterback. There's a few teams out there that would clearly take Jimmy, make him a starter, which I'm sure he would still want to be. He's not going to want to play at the 49ers no matter what the price for all intents and purposes, as a third string quarterback. You know what
No,
I mean?
and who's to say he would be the third string quarterback? We're assuming
But if
that
Purdy plays well, you got Purdy and you got Trey, a guy you traded up for. Like they're not, again, Trey is going to be the guy that's going to still be at the helm when it's all
there's
said
no
and done.
guarantee on that. Ask the Jets if a high draft pick quarterback automatically makes them the starter and they're cemented into the seat. That's not the case. I'm saying that if because once again the hurdle that teams are going to now request is now Jimmy G is coming off an injury again. He's going to be recovering now. If he comes back before the playoffs are done, then yeah, he might not make it. And if Purdy obviously plays well, but if Jimmy G doesn't, because the way Kyle Shanahan, I don't know if he's downplaying it or erring on the side of caution to say it's possible, but it could be a long shot for him to come back during the playoffs. I think if the price is right, based on what Jimmy G has done, the respect that he has in the locker room, the fact that he is a winner, I think that the 49ers would look, if the price is right, why couldn't you keep all three quarterbacks? I mean, a person coming off an injury, no matter how much potential, right? Ask Odell Beckham what happened with the Cowboys. They said he couldn't help now, right? And he has been further removed than what, let's say, Jimmy G would be with a broken foot. But he has an injury history. So sometimes teams are more reluctant to sign anybody. But if Jimmy G is willing, like he has already shown the willingness to take less money because he likes the culture, he likes the team, he thinks that it puts him in a position. Because if Jimmy G had finished the season unscathed and he wasn't injured, I think he would be auditioning for his next job, although he said he was willing to come back. But now that he's injured, he's once again he's kind of playing in our where we have the advantage, or maybe he's willing to he has unfinished business that he wants to perhaps stay with the Niners and see what can happen. Just it's a possibility.
Yeah, it all depends on Purdy, how well he plays. And if a
Yeah.
cult team like the Colts or New Orleans wants to pay him some top dollar, I'm sure he'll run for that, regardless of his injury history. If someone else still wants to take a chance.
Oh yeah, if somebody's going to pay him the money, yeah, I would think so.
That's all the point I'm making. That if another team wants to pay him to be a starter, why would he want to sit and compete with two other guys that pretty much are playing well enough, and by that time would definitely have the support of the locker room. So so we'll see. All right, that's cool. All right, so your Niners will win.
Those bottom feeder teams are going to get premium quarterback picks, and it should be a pretty good quarterback class. So they may not want Jimmy G because it's going to be. I mean, a rookie, even if it's a top pick, will probably be less than what Jimmy commands as a starting quarterback.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I'm and Brock Purdy is a rookie, so it's cheaper. It's cheap to keep him. You can keep both quarterbacks. I mean, Trey Lance is a rookie. Injured. Brock Purdy's a rookie, and he's the last pick in the draft.
And let Jimmy walk. Yeah, that's all. And just bring on a third guy.
I know you want to try to cancel out.
I'm trying to help him out. I'm trying to help John Lynch out. That's all. Give him some things to consider. That's all.
No.
But
you guys try to help Jimmy out. You try to help. Don't try to help John Lynch. Try to help Jerry Jones out. That's who you. Right, help Jerry Jones, Will McClay. You help them. Let them get the Cowboys in order.
Purdy might be the next Dak. Who knows? So hey.
Oh God, I hope not. I hope not. I hope not. But let's go on to the next game. We have the New York Jets versus the Buffalo Bills. This is a potential revenge game for Buffalo. Last time they played the Jets, didn't turn out good. They not only lost the game, but quarterback got injured. Josh Allen got injured. His arm, he didn't have the Tommy John injury, but he had a UC injury. And so he's been kind of working his way back in. But since that Jets game, you could see that he doesn't have the same zip on the ball that he once had. He's been relying a lot more on his legs. And of course, the defense has been playing well, but they lost Von Miller. So the question um, is there chances for the Super Bowl up in smoke? Because Von Miller was definitely a difference maker. So is there chances up in smoke, or do you think they can still make it happen with the pieces that they have?
No, I think they still can win with the pieces they have. I mean, Vaughn definitely makes them a better team. He advances them in so many ways defensively, but at the end of the day, they're still a very solid team. And I think they do still have enough to win. Because again, when you look at the AFC and the competition there, Kansas City, although I mean, you've heard me say it, I've been consistent since we started our show that I think KC and Pat Mahomes, are the team to beat. But with that, it's not something that I would say is where there's a huge gap between that difference of greatness, if you will. So again, KC can be beat. I do think the Bills still have enough to win. And again, Josh is the guy that's just going to take them, and they're going to go as far as he goes. And so having no Von Miller, yes, it hurts, no question about it. But I still think they have enough to win. I think they can.
One thing we didn't do real quick for the 49ers Tampa Bay score. Can we get a score on that game?
Oh yeah. Let's get boom, 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 boom.
Oh
I
man.
like I'm gonna go. Actually, I'm just gonna go 20. I'm gonna go 2010 Niners.
2010 Niners. Okay.
2010 Niners. Yeah.
I'll go 24-17. 24-17 49ers.
Okay.
Okay, so now back to the Bills.
Yep.
I think from a standpoint, uh, Cook, he's actually looking really good. Dalvin Cook's little brother, he's looking really good.
Yeah.
Last game they played, he got more involved. Devin Singletary, he only had one more touch more than Cook. So I think that it's maybe slowly but surely that they're. I don't even know why they got Nyheim Hines. They got Hines, and he has done nothing. From the Colts, he was actually kind of in that Cook role, like a little dump off. When you have to, a kind of a third down back that you
third
want to
down
get a
back,
little extra,
screens and stuff.
little
Yep.
screens.
Mhm.
And they
Mhm.
since they got him, they have not used him. I don't know.
Right.
I don't even know if he's dressed all the games. But I think ultimately the Bills, I would hope that, and from a fantasy standpoint, because I have Josh Allen on my fantasy team,
Mhm.
I would hope that they depend more. If this may sound crazy, because we both agree that they are too Josh Allen dependent for their
Yeah.
success. But I
Yeah.
think they're going to maybe mentally have to take on that kind of mindset that we have to blow teams out because our defense is now more vulnerable. Like, yeah, they're a good defense, but people can still run on them.
Sure.
They don't have a running game to sustain long drives. Cook is looking good, but it's not those long drives where you're taking off 6-7 minutes out of, off the clock per drive. So they're going to maybe get into the mindset where, hey, listen, we got to put up 30 plus points a game in order to make it difficult for teams to, actually deal with us because we're losing a major piece on the defensive end. So I
Right.
think from a Jet standpoint, they come in very hot. Mike White they love Mike White.
Oh
Everybody,
yeah.
we already
Yeah.
mentioned that in a
Yep.
previous show, how much support the team it has for them. They're wearing Mike White shirts. Just the pop that his presence and him, under center is adding to the team. I mean, the receivers, that seem like they were requesting trades or great rookies that were looking like, oh man, they are now. The Jets were already known for being a defensive team, right? More so with Robert Saleh, of course, coming from the 49ers, being a defensive coach. But Mike White gives the offensive pop
Yep.
to the team. And I think that they are a dangerous team down the stretch. Between, obviously, the Bills are in, the driver's seat of winning that division. But Miami's right there. The Jets, and of course the Bills. So it's going to be really interesting how the AFC, kind of shapes up, and who wins the division, who's going to be on the road, and of course, as we
Right.
discussed before, matchups make up everything. Because a team may have one team's number, the other team. So it's going to be interesting down the stretch. What do you say?
No, I agree with you, and I think for the Jets, in terms of what they need to win, what I find to be key, will probably be their red zone, efficiency there. That's where they had the problem with Mike White last week. Played well, obviously, but a game that they clearly could have won, and played very, very competitive. So Jets definitely, Mike White, he's in the seat for sure. But I think they've got to be able to score touchdowns. If they set up for field goals, it's not going to bode well for them. So they've got to score. I think they're 26 in the lead in red zone efficiency. So they've got to be able to convert, and not only convert, but they've got to get touchdowns. Okay, so that's the key for them. So I think that's what you're looking at for me. And I actually like the Jets in this game. I do. I like the Jets in this game. I actually think they will win this game. That's what I have.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's get a score real quick. What you think?
Okay. I like the Jets. If the Jets are converting points and stuff, because the Bills are shaky to me. They've shown some inconsistency. They're still good, still consistently good, but their play sometimes, the games that you think they should win, they don't win, or they find trouble, or having it very cumbersome for them. So against teams you think they should really handle quite easily. So I'm gonna go 30. I'm gonna go 30 to 20, 30 to 26, Buffalo. I'm sorry, New
Where'd the
York.
26 come from? Come on.
You gotta put
Come
some
on.
numbers in there that make it interesting. So it's
Jeez.
got to be a touchdown to win the game, right? A field goal won't do it for them. So and it's going to be a couple field goals in there. That's actually a lot of points the Jets to kill. It's that Jets defense versus the Buffalo. But I know me. I always pick weird numbers. I'll be like
Yeah,
21,
I know.
21, 19,
Three and
something
a
crazy like
half.
that.
Like, yeah,
Right.
how did we get
Exactly.
to that? But I think Jets D, they're really good. I know you were talking. I think maybe we were talking offline, and you were talking about Sauce Gardner. You like how good he is. Is he really good, or does he get away with a lot of hand checking? A lot
Yeah, he's
of
very handsy. He's very
Yeah, he's
handsy.
a. But it should be
Yeah,
really good. I'm wondering if they'll put him on Diggs,
I'm
or
sure they
how
will.
they're going to match him up, with Diggs and Gabe Davis, and also Dawson Knox. He's hot and cold. Some days he has, as the tight end, he's really good,
Exactly.
involved,
Exactly.
and in some games he's non-existent. But
Exactly.
let me get a. You gave me a score for them.
Yeah, 31-26. 30-26. 30 to
30
26.
26 Jets.
Jets.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Bills, and I really need the Bills to win this. I'm going to go with I need Josh Allen to throw at least 3 touchdowns and about 85 yards rushing. But I'm going to go with 35-24 Bills. I need the Bills.
35-24 Bills.
I think it's going to be a high
Wow.
scoring game because
Okay.
listen, Mike
11
White,
point victory.
he's not afraid to sling it, and
No,
so I
he's
think
not.
that should be pretty good.
Okay.
But we'll see what's going on with the NFL, man. But
Yeah. It's going to be good.
we're going to go into our. We got a next one more thing. One
Yeah.
thing I got to ask you about, and this is off topic, but I think we'll discuss this maybe on our next show.
Okay.
What is your take on the transfer of the exchange of of Brittany Griner and the potential terrorist that was a slash arms dealer? I mean, I think
Right.
we can discuss that because
Ooh, there's a lot.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
But I
That's a
just
lot to
wanted to
unpack. Yeah.
kind of put that out, get your mind
Right.
working on that. But I think it's
Okay.
something
Oh,
that
yeah.
we
I
will.
have some opinions
I
for
mean,
sure. Yeah.
my understanding is she landed today, so she's back home safely.
Right.
And so, everybody is, although it's fantastic. I mean, she's been away for 10 months. Everybody is not thrilled. So,
No, they're not.
it's going to be an interesting topic because there are, she has been detained for 10 months. They had a soldier that was there for over 4 years, and So it's a long back and forth as far as people's
Mm-hmm.
opinions on that. Because
Oh yeah.
actually, your main man Micah Parsons had his own opinion about
Oh
that,
yeah.
and
He
then
did.
he had to
Yeah.
walk it back some. But in any case,
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we're gonna get into that. I have a lot of opinions about that.
yeah,
Absolutely. I've been
absolutely.
debating that pretty much all day today with some
Since it
people.
happened, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And the
absolutely.
one question I have is that a political move? Is that like a political chess piece? The not the exchange of prisoners, but who was exchanged? Do you think that that was a kind of a political chess move? As she's obviously a bigger name than Whalen, but ultimately the timing of it, and bringing her back home as opposed to a soldier that has been detained for 4 years. And I think
Oh yeah.
he's doing, I think he was sentenced to 16 years. So
Yeah, I guess.
we'll definitely get into that more, and I want to hear what
Right.
what you
Oh yeah.
think about Micah, his statement, and what you think about what Jerry Jones, his take on Micah being so outspoken. That's not, Micah's comments aren't towing the line. So but
No,
in
they're
any
not.
case,
Well, it all depends. It just all depends. But yeah, yeah, yeah. But no, I
yeah.
agree. Yeah, unequivocally, absolutely, I agree.
Yeah,
There was a
well,
political
listen,
influence in that. No question
we
about it.
we
No question.
have a very, very special guest, man. We're getting
Yes, we
ready to get
do.
into the
Yes, we do.
NBA. And those bottom feeder Lakers. And so before we
Here we
get
go.
started, let me
Here we
just tell
go.
you about our special guest. His name is N'Gai Croal. Currently, he works at Microsoft as its game development editorial director. Before joining Microsoft, he was the founder and CEO of Hit Detection, a game design and marketing consulting company that worked for many of the world's biggest video game publishers. Prior to Hit Detection, N'Gai spent 14 years at Newsweek magazine as a senior writer for technology. He enjoys the NBA basketball and women's tennis. N'Gai currently lives in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Hey
Also,
guys.
lastly, N'Gai was listed as one of the top 20 blacks in tech by The Root.
Come on,
Let's
let's
welcome him to the
go.
show.
Thank you, Rod and Don. It's a pleasure to be on here. I saw your debut episode, and you guys are doing it up for the sports fans and the community. So excited that you had me on. It's very excited to be here.
Okay, well, we love to have you. We're glad that you took the time to join us today.
Yep.
Let's talk about the NBA. And there's really only two teams that we're interested in at this point. We're going to talk about the Lakers. All right.
Mhm.
AD has been over the course. Now, AD typically is brittle, right? And he's always injured, and there's always an issue. But lately, AD has been balling out. I mean, I have to give it up. I mean, the games. I mean,
Thank you.
when he faced Milwaukee and he put
Yeah.
on that performance, that gave me, because I consider Giannis the best player. He's not overall the best player, but he's the most dominant now, right?
Mhm.
Because there, of course, just like any great player, there are things that obviously they can do better. Like, all right, does he have a better jump shot, or how is he at the foul line? But Giannis overall, total package, is, I think, the most dominant player in the NBA. And AD handled him. He went toe to toe, got the W, and he has been playing really, really well. What do you think that the Lakers, after we get away from, because initially it was Russell Westbrook's problem, and
Yeah.
it was his reason, it was him, he's the reason why they weren't successful. What do you think about the Lakers? Do you think that they are a playoff team now? Do you think they need to add some pieces? And if they need to add pieces, who would you add that could bring them over the top and make them real contenders?
As much as it pains me to say, the Lakers are not a playoff team right now. The West is unexpectedly wide open. It's like opposite day. You got the Pelicans with the best record last time I checked. and you've got the Warriors, barely making the play-in tournament, right? So I expect that some of those things will sort themselves out over the course of the season. But what isn't going to sort itself out is that the Lakers don't have the talent to be a true competitor. And like when I say that, obviously at the top of the ticket with Anthony Davis, especially this edition of Anthony Davis and LeBron James, yeah, they can compete with anyone. But the way I think about it is what's your floor and what's your ceiling and what's your margin for error, right? The Lakers started off the season shooting horribly, like historically horribly. I, it was painful to watch, but I figured that was going to work itself out over time, and it has. So they raised their floor. Then Westbrook being willing to go to the bench and show out from the bench, that raised their floor some. But they haven't done anything to raise their ceiling other than Anthony Davis. Sort of, I wouldn't even call the AD we're seeing right now bubble AD. Because what we saw there was like AD was already a generational talent, but that was like a transcendent performance in the bubble. What we're seeing now is more of a return to peak New Orleans AD, which is amazing. And the Lakers definitely need that in order to be able to do anything. But they have not done anything to raise the ceiling of the team. And the ceiling is what it would require for them to be in the playoffs and make some noise. And I think what's unfortunate is over the last several years, even before LeBron got to LA, we've had to spend so much time focusing on the Lakers in terms of transactions instead of basketball, deals that they made, deals that they didn't make, free agents they tried to get, free agents that wouldn't even come meet with them, free agents that came for one meeting and didn't take it seriously, right? We got fortunate that Magic Johnson was able to persuade LeBron that he could live out his dreams in LA, right? Magic didn't stay there the whole time, but put it on the path to get AD and win the championship. And my feeling about this, and we'll get into it more, I don't want to take up all the airtime, is there's a tension now between Pelinka doing what is best in the best long-term interest of the franchise and the commitment of winning right now while LeBron still has gas in the tank and while you still have a transcendent player like AD. And I don't know how they're going to square it, but no, the Lakers should not kid themselves. The run that AD's been on, the games they've been able to win, even a signature win against the Bucks, which I love to see, they're not a playoff team. They're not a serious team. No.
What do you say, Rod?
Listen, N'Gai, you're my guy. You're my guy, man. All right, that's what I gotta tell you. You are my guy. I love reasonable fans who, like myself, a big time Lakers fan, been one since 1981, and I've loved my Lakers immensely.
Yes.
Okay, and so, but I like what you're saying, and I could not disagree with anything you said. And I think the latter part of your point that you made in relationship to whether or not the Lakers should build something short term or long term, it puts them in a bit of a quandary because, again, LeBron, we could see, right? LeBron is not the player he used to be. He still puts up, really, really good numbers. But, right, when we say LeBron puts up good numbers for what? A 38-year-old, right? So you always have that caveat in there with LeBron. And then with AD, to Don's point, AD is balling. But the health thing is always the concern. And he's right now looks like he's fighting through injuries. I believe he's playing hurt right now. But I think because the knock on him and he's trying to really lose that stigma of being an injured guy and Charles Barkley calling him out and street clothes. So, I mean, unless his arms fall off his body, this guy is going to play through almost anything he possibly can. I was even shocked that he stopped playing when he had the flu the other night. But the truth is, I couldn't agree with you more. The rest of the roster isn't really good at all. I think Lonnie Walker is a nice little piece they got. I love Austin Reeves. I love his commitment and his hustle on defense, and he's actually good in the open floor. But like you said, which I thought was a great way to explain it, the floor has risen for the Lakers with Russell coming off the bench. But the truth of the matter is you don't have a high ceiling. The West still is way too competitive, and I don't think this is a playoff team. So the question becomes, do you like the AD you see because that adds more value to possibly a trade if you're going to go long term, or if that does anything for you short term? I read something the other day that the Lakers are not giving up their first round picks for 27 and 29 unless it's for an all-star, right? So
Right.
they're not giving up anybody unless they can add another all-star player to AD and LeBron. So, and I just don't know if that will happen. I'm not a big fan of Rob Pelinka, but I also have to put some blame on James for the team that's been constructed from the rip. This wasn't a good team. No shooters. The shooting has improved, as you said,
Right.
but it's still not where it's going to need to be for any type of, forget championship level, but just for a playoff level. And if they get in the play in, how much are those guys going to do, in a 7-game series? And the defense still just isn't all the way there. So I totally
Right.
agree with you, man. Yeah, I don't think they're a playoff team.
I mean, I think that, so people have criticized LeBron James as a GM, and LeBron's been a pretty good GM, quite frankly. I just think with Russell Westbrook, so if the rumors are true, and I think they're pretty good, is that the Lakers had a deal with the Kings on the table for Buddy Hield.
Yep.
And then Russ became available, expressed interest, and Bron and AD threw their support behind that. I think that when you've been as good a player as LeBron is and as good a player as AD is, I think they have sometimes an irrational sense of how much they can, an irrational desire, which is not fully irrational. It's rational too, to play with other players who they consider to be on their level, other superstars. And then they think they can take a square peg and make it fit into a round hole. And everyone was saying that Russ was not going to be a great fit, right?
Right.
And it just bore itself out. Now, what we do see is that there was a role for Russell Westbrook, a significant role. It was just coming off the bench and leading the bench mob, something that he was not willing. Obviously, like, why would he force a trade or ask for a trade out of Washington, where they had gone to the playoffs with him, where he was beloved, he got it fit great, and he elevated the team and elevated Bradley Beal. Why would he leave that to go be a bench player, right? Like, that was never going to happen. It was going to have to be the humbling and the change and a change of scenery with a new coach coming in for him to accept that. And if he leaves, I personally think he should go back to DC. I feel like that's the one team in the NBA where he could start. He's definitely changed the perception now that people have seen what he's coming off the bench. Like, I don't think there were times last year where it was like, wow, Russ might be on his way out the league like Allen Iverson was. And now with what we've seen this season, I don't think that's happening. I think Russ has more years, but the difference is that there are very few teams that are willing to say, yes, we are going to make Russell Westbrook our starting point guard, and we are going to commit a portion of our offense to being oriented around him. That's not happening anymore, right?
No.
But back to the Lakers. That was the mistake they made, and now they're trying to undo it. And how do you undo it? And I think the deal I want to do is for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. Now, Miles Turner has an injury history, but what I like about the deal is that it maximizes LeBron and AD. Buddy Hield is a knockdown shooter. He can be streaky, but he's one of the best outside shooters in the NBA. He will get amazing open looks playing with LeBron and AD. And if the defense respects him, then they cannot crowd Bron and AD. So they'll get to work. Either he's killing them or they're killing them. And then, even though AD has shown tremendous success playing defensively at the center and can play the 4-5, and this whole thing about AD at the 5, I was having arguments with my sister about this, who's also huge.
There's issues with the 5, right?
AD at the 5 is what you want on offense.
Right.
AD is a great defensive center, but where you really want AD, what you saw in the bubble was AD at the 4, where he's roaming.
That's what he loves.
Defending on the perimeter, either staying in front of guys, preventing them to get to the basket, or lock and trail and come behind for that over the top block, weak side block. That was what was wreaking havoc.
Yep.
And what you can do now, if you get Miles Turner can start at center. Miles Turner, and they can invert it because on offense, Turner can take his man out to the perimeter, knock down threes, and leave the paint open for AD to be operating the post, mobile post center on offense. I feel like that's like 2 + 2 = 10. That's going to raise our floor, raise our ceiling, and put us back in contention. The other trades I'm hearing now, like where I feel like Rob's trying to be too clever by half. I don't think half measures are going to get it done.
I totally agree. D, if I can just add this one point
to
what the guy said, I totally agree. And I think why that trade is important too, because you get Russ off the books, right? Obviously, you're talking about making that trade for Russ, right? So Russ is off the books, and then even you can then figure out what you want to do with Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, going forward. I think the brass there in Los Angeles is wondering, well, do we give up what we got to give up now because we need to win now? How does this going to help us? And I think that's the problem that the Lakers keep going back and forth. So when you brought up the dissonance that they're having, between long term and short term, look, you're not going to I don't think we're going to be a championship team even with Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. It's not going to make a difference, but at least I don't know. I still don't think we would. I think we would definitely. You talk about that ceiling will go up, but it's hard to imagine still with what you got out there in the West. Forget the East if we get to the finals and who we need to play, which in my opinion, I've been picking Milwaukee since day one. I still think though that you're still going to have some issues there in relationship, to your bench and then the defense coming up too. So, I mean, Miles can play the D. He can play some D, of course, but you still got defense, you still got the bench, and you still have, I think, some superior teams in the West. And let's not forget, guys, we could say what we want, see what we want, but the Golden State Warriors, and you said it in the beginning, they right now are a play-in team as the season ends today, right?
Yeah.
But they are going to obviously hit their stride when they got to. This team does not worry about regular season. They're like the LeBron James of his career. LeBron never worried about the regular season. It was always the playoffs, and that's what I think that team obviously is building for. So I think it's going to make them better. The ceiling definitely increases. It goes up, but I still don't think we would win a championship or get to a finals even with those trades. But it's a trade I definitely say we need to make.
It wouldn't guarantee a championship. I feel like what it does is now your 4 best players, you unlock 2 of the best players in the NBA to be the best versions of themselves. You figure out who's that 5th player that you're throwing out with the starting lineup. And with the playoffs, you're shortening your rotations anyway, right? Yeah. So hopefully you're blowing guys out, and that's why you're playing your bench, because, it's like, it's garbage time. But if you're not, then Bron's minutes are going to go up anyway. AD's minutes are going to go up anyway. So really, it's just kind of like, who can be that 6th man, that 7th man? Are you going more than 8 deep in the playoffs? Kind of not. So then we'd have to look at, like, can Austin Reeves now be properly slotted? Because he's probably coming off the bench in that situation. The 5th starter is probably Lonnie Walker, right? So now you've got players who are starting or who have started coming off the bench. So Reeves is coming off the bench. That slots him properly. Troy Brown is coming off the bench. That slots him properly. Hopefully you get something more out of Thomas Bryant. But I feel like
I like Bryant.
Yeah, nothing is guaranteed, but I feel like that. But what we're leaving out, I feel like, is, and why I feel more confident about the Lakers' future past this season, is Darvin Ham. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the offense he's put in, the defense he's put in, there are holes and there are leaks, but like there's a logic now to what the Lakers are doing, and him getting Russ to buy in to coming off the bench. And Russ's shot diet had started to change under Vogel. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was doing less mid-range, less 3, and more the basket. The thing that's unfortunate is just like Russ's touch around the basket is not that great. We've all seen him get to the cup and not be able to finish, like just leaving points aboard. And then LeBron, like what we're seeing with him, like either he can't or won't. Like LeBron is ramping up. No, this is something that he's done. LeBron is not going to give you the same effort in game 20 that he's going to give you in round 1 of the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not going to happen. But there are things now like where you're seeing specific ways in which he's aging, even more dependent on shooting threes and shooting jumpers than previous seasons. And it was trending in that direction. Right. He doesn't seem to be able to blow by guys in the half court anymore the way he used to. He can bully you, but it's more back down. We saw that with Kobe when he was aging. We saw that with MJ as he was aging, Jordan. But it's really wild to see it with LeBron because there are many ways in which you can squint and still see the old Bron or prime Bron, but that's, I think, how the greatest players age is like subtle things come off the table now that they're just not able to do in the same way. And so that's why now we can see why, even AD's first year, LeBron was like, AD's the man. We did whatever.
Right.
But now you see AD has to be the man for that team. It's not, in the championship season, the way I think about it is LeBron was both the Lakers' most consistent player and the player with the highest actual ceiling, right?
Right.
Why did they win a championship? Because for the vast majority of the playoffs, AD was out of his mind on both ends of the court. Shooting threes, shooting jumpers,
oh my gosh,
around the basket, like the whole bag was on display. Absolutely. That's why they won the championship. Yeah. But right now, LeBron can no longer, a Lakers team where LeBron is the highest actual ceiling on the team cannot win. It has to be AD. And it's not about deferring, right?
No.
It's about AD's got to be that dude. He's got to be the one creating the advantage. And LeBron, Point Bron, can orchestrate everything around it, but he just literally cannot put a championship team on his back like that anymore. He's not that dude now.
And Don, did you hear, N'Gai and I talking, and you notice words that we've been using, like championship, this is what championship discussions sound like, so yes. I know it might be a little difficult for you to
my sound was off. You guys said something? My sound was off. I saw you guys' mouths moving, and then when both of your lips were closed, I turned it back on. What were you saying? Are you talking about championships? Okay, got it. Listen, that's why the floor is yours. You guys can talk about what you're hoping to, come of this. I don't blame Jeannie Buss for not being willing to give and mortgage her future away for LeBron because you know what? They could have had DeMar DeRozan, right? He wanted to come to the team. Yep. LeBron vetoed that or used his power and said, no, we want Russ because to N'Gai's point, part of that kind of, I think it was the Russ pick was ego-based, right? Because LeBron, nobody else wanted to play with Russ, right? So LeBron wanted to feel like I'm good enough, AD's good enough that we can just put anybody in and it's going to work. Because remember, KD didn't want to play with him anymore, right? What's his name? Didn't even return his phone call. He called and AD, not AD. He called Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard didn't even return his call. Didn't have the decency to say, nah, I'm not going to go. And then gets Paul George. Paul George slides with him. So nobody wanted to play with, Westbrook because there is obviously a decline to his game. And because everybody was kind of, mesmerized by the triple-double. But Russ he's a stat first kind of player. He's not really, if you think about it, although he averaged a triple double for all those consecutive years, he didn't really make a team better. Like, in my opinion, he didn't make a team better because he got to the point. What'd you say?
He made the Wizards better though.
Well, he made the Wizards better, but I think that was more of, I don't think it was solely because of him. I think his scoring, because he's always going to actually put in effort from an effort standpoint. He's not going to cheat you, right? He's going to always put forth the effort. He's pretty much an Iron Man other than, injury here or there. So
Yeah.
for the most part, he's going to be a body. He's going to be willing to push the ball. Now, I think as it pertains to a championship team, because Russ can be your best player on a terrible team, right? You can make the playoffs, but not really. If it's ultimately it's about championships, right? How deep you can go into the playoffs. So on a lesser team, of course, I mean he's not garbage. He's going to shine because number one, his usage, how much the ball is in his hands is going to be far exceed anyone else. But can you play with other superstars? Can you, make the most of what your position is and master it? Very similar to Chris Bosh, right? Because before that big three in Miami formed, right? Chris Bosh was a all-star that was used to the ball being in his hands all the time. When you get aligned with drama-filled LeBron, because I like LeBron, but there's a certain amount of drama that comes with it. When you attach yourself or align with LeBron, everybody knows for the most part you're going to have to defer. Whatever your usual usage, it's going to change. And now you get with another superstar in AD. The fact is that I'm glad Darvin Ham was able to convince him and persuade him to, play ball, quote unquote.
Mm-hmm.
And it was better suited for him to come off the bench because you know what? The ball's in your hands more. You're in charge of the second team. And there would be times where you would be on the floor with LeBron and AD, but for the most part, you're going to run that team. So it gives him a false sense that, yeah, I'm still the man, although it's second team. Yeah, I'm still the man. So I think that is very smart for Darvin Ham and strategic to make someone feel comfortable in a reduced role because he's not a starter anymore. And he can be a starter on other teams, as you guys mentioned. He can go to another team and kind of be the man in a sense. But with LeBron and AD, clearly it's not a good fit. They're making the most of it. And, to their credit, they're starting to come into form. But I think there were options and the fact that she's, Jeannie Buss is not willing to, mortgage her future because, how many years, honestly, do we give LeBron I mean, he's still putting up numbers. I think he's still averaging 26, 27 points a game.
Yeah.
But that window is closing. LeBron's window is closing. He might need to join a super team. Everybody used to want to join LeBron, and he would be the big spoon in a super team. But now he may need to join another super team where he is more of like a Joe Johnson, right? Mm-hmm. Joe Johnson joined the team, and he was a great player. But once he had to start reducing his role and saying, "Hey, listen, I'll be the second scoring option. I no longer want to be the man on the team that requires the ball."
Right now, I mean that's pretty much now.
Well, AD is doing that, but AD is only doing that now. No, I'm saying LeBron.
Yeah,
he joined. AD joined, but I don't think fully that AD was ready for that mantle. We've seen it in a small sample size, in my opinion. The bubble, yes, they were both kind of were all
AD was ready to be 1B to LeBron's 1A. That's what he was ready for in the first season.
Right.
Now he's understanding that he might actually, it's probably healthy LeBron, it should be 1A is AD, 1B is LeBron. But it may be, honestly, AD is undisputed 1 and Bron is 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just that shift is, if it's not this season, it's going to be next season. Because, like, little pieces will come off of LeBron's game. Injuries are part of the game, and it's going to take more time to recover. It's like, these are the things, even for someone who is like damn near a mutant, saying like LeBron, like an alien, father time, as they say, is undefeated. Just look at the commercials, right? But Don, I got a question for you, man. I mean, that one of the pieces LeBron wanted was Brooklyn's own Kyrie Irving.
It will not happen.
What's your take on that? Should the Lakers make that move to get Kyrie? Should the Nets give him up?
For Russ? No way. They would have. I mean, what do they have I know everybody was saying, when Kyrie's future with the Nets were just up in smoke, and we weren't really sure if the team was going to cut him or what if he was going to even return back to the Nets. That the Lakers definitely want him. For who? That's the problem. You guys have no pieces now. If you want to give us those first round draft picks, yeah, possibly. And I mean, I don't know. We would have to get a third team involved because we need something back. But I don't see. Definitely, I know KD doesn't want to play with Russ anymore. So that there ends it right there. That trade or that possible trade goes up in smoke because nobody really wants to play with Russ. He's a good person to have on your team, right? He's a good person to have on your team because the work is there. He's going to put forth the effort. But if you're looking to win, he's not. I joke and I talk to one of my boys, and I'm like, there are certain NBA players that will their personality, their ego will not allow them to be champions. And Russell Westbrook is one of those guys. I don't ever see him with a ring because his ego will not allow him to understand that his role needs to diminish at this point in his career, and he will not allow that. And I'm saying he's coming off the bench, but I'm saying big picture. He's not going to, but he's considered the third best player on that team, right? Would he be okay being the fourth or fifth best player, but then winning the championship?
Down the pecking order, though.
Well, why not?
Exactly.
No,
he wouldn't be on the Nets. He wouldn't be he'd be the third best. I mean, arguably he'd be the second best player, right? Because Simmons is kind of in and out of the lineup, right? On pure current talent, like Simmons is a flawed player. Like Russ deserves his flowers. Russ should be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Absolutely.
But like you both said, like Russ doesn't play championship basketball except in very specific circumstances, and like not really any longer, right? Like it was kind of like remember the Rockets had to basically take Harden off the ball and trade away Capella to go super small ball in order to reshape the offense for it to make sense for Russ. Like that's what they had to do. And the thing is like,
right.
That's crazy because James Harden does everything better than Russ.
Yeah.
Like everything. And I'm not a Harden fan, but literally everything. He's a better shooter. He's a better passer. He's brought more touch around the basket. He's got a deeper bag. You could argue that Russ is capable of more on defense, but Russ was not getting max defensive effort. You know what I'm saying? He's inconsistent. He's a ball watcher, like all of these things, right? So the fact that the Rockets, in order to make the trade work, D'Antoni was contorting all these things. And like people got hyped when they took game one off the Lakers in the playoffs, right? And then what the Lakers do, they put Anthony Davis on him and it was a wrap. You know what I'm saying? It was done. And so it's just kind of like, that's the issue with Russ. So to me, if the Nets are trading for Russ, they're not trading for Russ. They're trading to get rid of Kyrie and get some assets in return and clear cap space and try to do something else. But honestly, the Nets should rebuild. Like they need to get off of Kevin Durant. They need to it's not happening. It's not happening.
You fell right into the fireplace behind you, man.
We enjoyed you come. Let me tell you something. Teams. All right. So currently, and me and Rod had this conversation. We were talking about the Nets. We started off very slow. Ben Simmons was still nursing an injury. He was kind of slow to get back on. And then once he started playing, he was still kind of timid and scared to shoot. And I told Rod, listen, if Ben Simmons gets to the point where he averages 12 points a game, because we know as far as facilitating, top notch, rebounding, top notch. He can, if he wants to average a double-double, he can, right? It's all about effort. It's all about effort. So he
Yes.
had to work his way back into, he had to get his conditioning up, right? And what has he done? He has, around the same time, Klay Thompson has kind of took off as far as his scoring again. Ben Simmons quietly was averaging somewhere near 15, 16 points. Now, my thing is that you have to give a team time. You're dealing with, we dealt with a tremendous amount of adversity. We had the whole Kyrie situation. We had Ime's coming. Now he's not coming. We had all of that. We had KD demanding a trade. We had a coach who was over his skis, right? Because Steve Nash should have never had the job, right? So we had all of that working, and it took time, slowly but surely, right? Because it's 82 game season, right? So I felt very confident then, and I feel confident now that we are going to make noise in the East. And I think they're talking about getting the forward out of Atlanta. If we get him now, I don't know if they're going to trade Ben Simmons for him, but if we get him, another scorer, because what we lack is not scoring. We lack size. That's our biggest thing. That's why I personally don't know why they haven't reached out to Dwight Howard. Why is he in Taiwan shooting 12 3-pointers a game?
Saw Dwight last year. Dwight is washed, man. I mean, like, he wasn't washed in LA, but he's washed now.
Yeah, now he is. His line's good.
He played good in Philly.
Basketball was with the Lakers in the bubble.
He didn't play decent with Philly last year. He played decent with Philly.
But the wheels come off him too.
We got six. He has 6 fouls, doesn't he? His shoulders are still as wide as we need him. We don't need him to be the Orlando.
Right.
We don't need him to be the baby Superman. We just need size. That's our biggest thing, because more often than not, we get killed, on the rebound. We get killed rebounds, offensive, defensive rebounds, but we're leading the league in block shots. So something is happening. Everyone talks about Claxton only being 112 pounds but we're leading in block shots. Everyone talks about KD, how skinny he is, how slight he is, but we're still leading. So
I like
size,
Claxton.
He's good
on both sides of the ball. The problem is that offensively, the best lineup is with Simmons at center. Like, I think that's the point. Center is the position that he has to play in order to be successful in the dunker spot. Operating off cuts and movement in the paint. That's where you're going to see success with him. And that's the challenge with Simmons is not that he's not an extremely talented player. Not that he's not a 2A player, but someone who is almost pathologically reluctant to shoot, just distort, and is afraid to get fouled.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I think it was Isaiah Thomas who said, I wouldn't even worry about his shot. Just fix the free throw shooting. Just let him get his buckets at the line and off putbacks. Like, that's what he should be doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I don't know if so that's what I'm saying. Like, the ceiling, and with Kyrie, the reason they got to solve the Kyrie situation is Kyrie's an expiring contract.
Exactly.
No way he returns to the team. And most NBA teams are unwilling to do sign and trades because it hard caps the receiving team. So who's going to do a sign and trade for someone as toxic as Kyrie? Like, it's not happening. So there's the Nets are at a real risk of losing Kyrie for nothing. And that's going to hurt.
That is spoken like 2 Laker fans. I expect you guys
to
try to back us in a corner and say, well, just give Kyrie for Westbrook and a bag of beans. We're not doing that. Lose them. Lose them. Who are you guys gonna? If you want to give those first round picks, we'll entertain that.
You can have 1 first round pick. We're not giving you both. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, Kyrie, 1, not 2.
Why wouldn't we get 2? We deserve 2. Kyrie is immensely talented, and I mean, and he has chemistry with LeBron. Imagine him, AD, and LeBron on the same team.
No, that isn't hot, but imagine there's another pandemic that Kyrie don't want to get vaxxed or masked for. You know what I'm saying? We might lose Kyrie just on that. So that's the pick that we're keeping. That's the next pandemic tax.
Yeah, we
you know
would.
Like,
trade
you got to hang on to that.
on Kyrie.
So quick question. You guys are playing the 76ers tonight, right? And Embiid, I don't think he has, I don't know if Embiid is having any gut issues tonight. So I think he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing.
Who are you, do you like your chances? I know LeBron and Anthony Davis are probable. So they're most likely they're trending to play, right?
Yep.
Do you think James Harden was out with an injury? I think this will be his second game back. You know, he looked a little rusty. I think it was 4-19 their first game back, and they lost. So you got Harden back, you got Embiid, versus your big two, quote unquote, big 2.5. Do you like your chances tonight? What do you think? Do you have a score? Do you think you guys can pull it off, or do you think it's just too much to ask?
It's early enough in the season, like we can pull it off. I mean, like, look, again, the Lakers are too erratic for me to say like they're definitely going to win. I want to see what AD coming off of this run, albeit missing a couple games because of flu, can do with Embiid. Like, I want to see that. Like, I just gained. Y'all seen the supercut that someone put together? So first, someone did like years ago. They did a supercut of Jordan doing moves and then Kobe doing the same moves. And then someone updated it with, so it's MJ, Kobe, and Embiid. And it's like scary. Like, that's when I realized, oh snap, like Embiid is a shooting guard in a center's body. Right. And the older I get, when I was much younger, I was just like a fan. It was Lakers, F everybody else, like that kind of thing. And the older I get, I'm still a diehard Lakers fan, but the more appreciation I have for talent when I see it. And it can be like, I love to see talent develop and show what it can do. So it could be a Caruso going from undrafted into something, and it can be an Embiid who missed most of the first 2 seasons of his career because of injury, turning into this, right? So just like we got a phenomenal game between AD and Giannis, I want to see that. And I'm predicting who's going to come out because they've both gotten the better of each other in previous games. So I just want to see that. The person who scares me, quite frankly, and is just against us is Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris seems to be giving us work every time he faces the Lakers, right? And I don't think we have an answer for Tobias Harris. I really don't.
Yeah.
And then you got Maxey, clutch client. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, maybe
right.
Rich can convince him to throw the game and do a little point shaving, but that kid is
right.
Like, how did the Nets not demand him in? Like, I really don't understand how the Nets did that Harden trade. Like, they got hosed in that deal. Hosed. It's crazy.
I just think they did. They could have gotten more. I think it was, they were looking at Harden as, I mean, because Harden ultimately, I mean, he has a history of quitting his way out of teams. And if Harden looks, and I don't, honestly, I hold nothing against Harden. Kyrie has a ring.
Why he's out of there. That's
Kyrie has a ring. KD has a ring. Harden doesn't want to be one of the Charles Barkleys or one of the other great players, one of the greatest players to not win a ring. So Kyrie, him not willing to make decisions and do things in the best interest of the team and doing it in his own best interest. I don't blame Harden for saying, hey, listen, I don't have a ring and I'm pretty much spinning my wheels. I got to get out of here. So yeah, it wasn't the greatest deal, but maybe the Nets were looking at potential from a potential standpoint. If Ben Simmons was doing the same thing. Maybe he was playing possum with the 76ers. And as soon as he got to the Nets, we were going to see the Ben Simmons of old, the two-way player that's an all-star. You know, we would have saw that. But Ben Simmons had back issues and, he had some legitimate, mental health issues that he had to overcome. So time will tell if it is a terrible deal, but I'll say this, out of, say what you want about where you think the Nets will go in the playoffs. One team I do not fear the 76ers whatsoever. So if we have to face them in the playoffs, I have no problem with that. The two teams And the only two teams that are of a major concern, Miami's not even a concern. Major concern, obviously, are the Celtics and, of course, Milwaukee. The other teams, I think in a 7-game series, I like our chances.
Yeah, I agree.
So it depends. Once again, it all depends on matchups, right? Just like we were talking about in NFL. Some teams have a certain team's number. The other team, has difficulty. I think, and let's not forget, KD almost beat the Bucks. And I know almost doesn't count. Brandy says almost doesn't count. Almost doesn't count. Got it. But and I don't know why your eyes are closed. But KD, I'm saying Rod is completely.
He needed shorter feet. Is that what that's what he needed?
I'm just saying he is just an inch over the line, and that we would have a different discussion. And this is playing with James Harden, whose hamstrings.
You wouldn't have won that series. You still would have lost. You would have won the game, but not that series.
How do you figure that? We would have won.
How? What was the? Refresh my memory on that, guys. What was the record at that time in that series? Before that?
I don't recall. I think that was
on the line. Wasn't that the last game?
Was that the last game? Was that a game 7?
But
that might have been. I think that was game 6. I think that was game 6. But I think we had a 3-2 lead. I think that's what it was.
Yeah, even with injured Harden, the Nets were carving up the Bucks, and people forget. And I was surprised that Giannis didn't get a technical or flagrant for it. How did Kyrie get hurt? Giannis came flying in to get the rebound, and his foot went under Kyrie, he undercut him. If Kyrie had not gone out in that series, you know what I'm saying? It's again, it was not a dirty play. It wasn't intentional. It's
please don't give this guy any ammunition.
No, but I'm saying we were. Do you remember that we blew them out game 1 by 30 points? I mean, it was a blowout. We were on our way to possibly sweeping them. And I'll say this, Giannis wasn't the same Giannis he is now. Giannis is just like LeBron had to learn to win, right? Yeah. I think Giannis has elevated his level, and it's just like anything else. He tasted blood or whatever the case may be. He understands how to win, what it takes, and he understands it, and he has that feeling after accomplishing such a great feat. I think that's what has elevated him to the next level. Once LeBron went to Miami and he understood and became familiar with actually winning, not just getting there, but actually getting to the point where you're tasting champagne, there was no looking back. So I think Giannis should thank KD for his elevation in his game, because KD brought the best out of him. If you remember, they went back and forth. I think it was 45 points and 48 or 49 points. They were going back and forth. It was a very, very competitive series. And I think injury, so KD, let's be clear. KD took it to 7 games with a hobbled Harden and no Kyrie. Kyrie was out, I think, after game 2. And why is a 6'11", 7-foot guy diving for a ball on a 6'2", 6'3" guard? It was. I mean, it could have been by design. No, it could have been to take him out. I like N'Gai's take on that.
That's not Giannis. You just gave Giannis a lot of platitudes about 4 weeks ago of how nice and
he is a nice guy
and how pleasant this guy is. He wouldn't hurt a butterfly, right?
Well, I never said that. I'm saying when
of course I got to embellish your whole description of Giannis, but now all of a sudden he's an assassin. He's the
I'm just saying.
He's listen, actually of the Bucks.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
On, man. I love the Warriors, but Kawhi was about to put that Warriors team in the dirt.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course he was. Yep. Of course he was. They had a ridiculous lead, and then Zaza put his 29-foot size shoe under him, and that was it. And I think I don't remember, and maybe you guys know, I don't remember Kawhi having that many injuries before that. Was that the actual injury that kind of started his cycle of injuries?
That's a good question. Yeah,
Because I don't remember
not with
him
in San
being
Antonio.
out. I mean, you know, I don't remember it. So I'm wondering if, you know, that was a result and then that became, you know, some type of issue that is going to be lingering for the rest of his career. Because clearly he's not 100%. And, you know, I mean, Kawhi, when playing is obviously a dominant player. Am I?
I think you're right about the time, but look, it's the curse of Donald Stern, right? Like, Donald Stern will never know peace because he denied the trade that would have sent CP3 to play with Kobe as he rightly was supposed to. And since then, you see what happened to Kawhi. You see what happened to CP3. Like, nothing good can happen for them until the Lakers
wasn't
are
CP3?
done
I think
right
he was
back.
but wasn't he with the Pelicans at the time? I thought he was with the Hornets.
He was with the Pelicans. He was with the
right.
Pelicans, the Hornets, whatever they were calling themselves at the time.
Sterling from the Clippers wouldn't let him go?
No, that wasn't it. It was he was in the team was being run by the NBA.
By the NBA,
point.
right.
They were between owners.
Stern. Right, right.
And basically Stern felt that the deal was not, even though the acting GM had said, hey, we're doing this deal, the league had to sign off on it, not in its league capacity, but in its oversight of the franchise capacity.
Yeah, I recall.
And in Stern's opinion, it was not the best deal for that team, even though it kind of was. I'm like, come on now. Like, can you imagine CP3 and Kobe together? We were denied.
But would that team be as appealing, selling wise, for a new owner to buy the team without a superstar? Because at the time, I think they had, it was CP3 and they had what's the other guy? I forget his name. He's like
David West.
David West, right? Yeah. Those were the stars on the team. So I think from a standpoint of making the team the most marketable, I think that was, I respect that. I respect that he did that. I mean, the Lakers, that's the problem. The Lakers always get what they want. They always get what they want, and there is an expectation. There is a sense of entitlement. There is a sense of entitlement that all deals should be rubber stamped, regardless if it is good for the league or not.
See what I deal with?
It's what they call Lakers exceptionalism, right? And the way I think about it, I was talking to a friend about it last, and I said to him, I said, the Lakers, by virtue of being in LA, making a lot of money from their on-court stuff and all that, they've got like I think it was like a 10-year, $300 million or $600 million deal for their local cable rights. Like, it's huge money. And so what the Lakers are willing to do is they're willing to pay a premium for guaranteed talent. See, like when you draft a player, even whoever the number one pick is, like there's no guarantee that Luka was going to be Luka. There's no guarantee that draft Luka was going to be Luka. There's no guarantee that draft Kyrie was going to be, like, you don't know for sure, right? And so, and the Lakers in the seasons where they're good, not a lot of the 2010s, they're not going to have high draft picks, right? And so that's part of the reason why they're willing to trade them. So the way the Lakers look at it is you can develop that player. You can turn them into a superstar, and then we'll wait to see which of them become superstars. And the ones we like the best, we're going to pursue them, right? And that's an expensive thing to do. Whereas like you look at OKC and what they're doing, they're a small market. So they don't have the ability to, free agents are not beating down the door to go to Oklahoma City. Like that's not happening, right? So what they have to do is and they understood that their GM understood, as other GMs have come to understand, that it's better to, you either want to be really bad or really good. The worst place to be is in the middle, because you're not going to win championships and you're not going to get transcendent talent, right? So be really bad, stack up a bunch of picks and players, figure out which ones, and basically only start to be good when you've identified who your stars are going to be and how you're going to build around them, right? So I think they were going to maybe start going for it in Oklahoma City this season, but then the kid got hurt, Chet Holmgren, And so basically, it's going to be another wasted season. I feel for Shai Alexander, but that kid can ball.
Oh,
and maybe next season they'll be ready to go for it, right? Yeah. And in the meantime, you keep your cap as low as possible, and you keep cap space open so that you can take other people's overpaid relative to their worth contracts in exchange for first round picks. Like, do you remember the transaction they did when they sent Schroeder to LA for Danny Green? So they got a pick from the Lakers to take Danny Green, and then they got a pick from the Sixers to send Danny Green. That's like Casablanca, right. You know what I'm saying? Like, like I can't believe what's going on in this casino. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, right. So, but you got to respect the game. The game is the game, and you have to play the cards that you're dealt. And so for the Lakers, what they like is pre-agency. They like these guys the year before the last year of their contract, like AD was, and basically being like, yeah, I'm not going to resign. I want to go play in LA. And that's why I feel for the Pelicans. Like, there was too much, as good as the Pelicans have been this season. I like Willie Green. I like the kids.
I think he's doing a good job.
It's basically the Lakers West. They jacked our talent for AD.
Yeah, they did.
We got the title. But there's too much noise about Zion and his camp not really wanting to be in New Orleans, wanting to be in a bigger market. I think people need to pay attention to Zion's pre-agency year. I think Luka is another prime pre-agency candidate. Definitely. Because look at what's around him. You've got some credible pieces, but their cap management has been horrendous. And they've done other good things, like, you know, Kidd has been really good as a coach, but how did they not resign? How did they not sign Brunson? You've got a dude who can start next to Luka, who can come off the bench, who can get his own shot, who can run. Like, Luka is a hard player to play with because he's so ball dominant.
He's very ball dominant.
Not easy to play with him, but he's worth it because of how good he is. You had the perfect guy to play next to him, and you let him go for nothing because you didn't want to do an in-seat. Like, that's just crazy. So I'm looking at this, I cannot trust that front office.
But can Luka, the way his style of play, Luka is going to have to kind of change his style of play because it's not sustainable. His usage is not sustainable to winning championships. I mean, even great players that are used to having the ball all the time, one can't beat five, regardless.
Right.
So you're going to have to depend on players, to make the shots. Also, it preserves you, right? If you have the ball in your hands and you have to make the play, you're rebounding, you're taking unnecessary hits going to the hole. I think
so good though. Like,
he's a great player.
About Harden, but it was just like, I mean, look, you're right. There's a Luka raises the floor significantly, right? But he can't give you a championship ceiling on the current roster. So it's at the point now where I don't know exactly like what is the right number two alongside Luka. And where I feel like there's parallels a bit to LeBron, like you were talking about, LeBron being ball dominant and not easy to play with and stuff like that in some ways, right? Like, he's a great team first kind of guy or whatnot, but he is very ball dominant, right? And I think that's why starting Westbrook with Bron was doomed to failure. But I wonder if a player like an AD, right? Or even a player like Jokic, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to have to learn what is the kind of player that is the right, can there be a 1B to Luka's 1A? Or is it the kind of thing like where it's a transcendent version of Iverson, like where in 2001, where basically you surround him with guys who can defend, guys who can scrap and shoot. And it's just like, and then you get to the finals and you take your chances. But I don't know what a championship version of a team around Luka is going to look like. But I know that the Mavs ain't doing it.
No, that roster's bad. He needs a Klay Thompson, not this version of Klay. He needs a Klay Thompson type of player, not the Klay we see now, but the older Klay, somebody like that that doesn't need the ball but can shoot
Mhm.
and play defense. And I think that's the kind of player in my mind that can complement Luka because he needs the
Or
ball.
like a Steph, right? Like look at Steph. Like Steph
Or even
is
Steph. Yeah,
an
Steph didn't. Yeah.
amazing, can be
Mhm.
an amazing point guard, but what he's willing to do, what unlocks the best version of the team, which is let Draymond direct the offense, and he runs around off screens and whatnot, and just creating havoc. And that's why I love the Warriors offense. And you see so few teams do it this way. The players move and the ball moves. So it's really hard to stop. It's kind of like only they can beat themselves, and they've been beating themselves a lot this season, right?
Right.
Because
Right,
it's
exactly.
dependent on precision. Like
Mhm.
I don't even understand basketball well enough to understand everything I'm seeing when they're doing it, but it's just like when the precision is off and the timing is off, it looks like crap, right?
Throws
You
everything
saw what
off,
happened
right.
when they tried to run it without Steph
It does.
and
Yes.
Clay. Didn't work.
Not at all.
So listen, real quick, we
Yeah.
are going to wrap up, but quick question. Let's get your NBA Finals picks now so we can hold you to the carpet 50, 60 games in advance. But who do you like in the finals? Who do you like ultimately representing East,
Right.
West, and then the final winner?
So my heart says we're taking it back to the 80s, Lakers Celtics. That's my heart says. But my mind says, I always say you gotta beat the champ in order to be the champ. So I'm still going to take the Warriors coming out of the West. And then the East, it's kind of a push between the Celtics and the Bucks. It's hard to predict. I want to say, I will say what I want to see, right? And I want to see the Warriors and the Bucks go at it. I want to see, if I had to pick, now it would be cool to see. I mean, I obviously I hate the Celtics, but it would be cool to see what Tatum and Brown again in that stage, to see what they've learned and how they can come through. But look, we're all old enough to think back to the 2009 NBA Finals and how Dwight Howard robbed us of the opportunity to see Kobe and LeBron. Nike had the puppets. The puppets were there, man. The puppets wanted it. We all wanted it.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. So
it didn't happen. Yeah.
I feel like to see Giannis and Steph go toe to toe, I feel like and it's just going to be another story in the ballad of the NBA. Like the Warriors got the best of Bron more, but that 2016 championship is still going to mean so much because he brought a title to Cleveland and they beat the best regular season team in history in 7 games after being down 1-3. Like you can't write a better ending, right? And so for me, I feel like to see are we going to see the coronation of Steph? You know what I'm saying? Is he going to pass LeBron for the number of championships and sort of beat a fellow two-time MVP? Or is it going to be Giannis adding to his legend, getting that second title, getting that second finals MVP, and cementing himself as maybe not the most complete player of his generation, but unquestionably one of the players that can do the most damage on both ends of the floor? And I love to see talent shine. So I want to see the most competitive finals. My heart still says Lakers Celtics though.
Okay. Rod, who do you say?
I got the Warriors and Bucks. I think Middleton was the difference last year. So he's healthy. They played the 3 of them with Drew Holiday and Giannis. Their defense. I got Bucks and Warriors.
Okay. I'm going to say, you guys are going to laugh at this. I'm going to say the Denver Nuggets and the Bucks. That's my pick. I think the Denver Nuggets, listen, we forget how good that team is, how deep that team is, because they had, Murray was injured for, almost 2 years, seemed like. So once they get back into the groove, because they were a team that was on the cusp, I think once they get through and they kind of get going, because the West is difficult to navigate through, but I think matchups, It depends when a team, because the Warriors won, but there was a little bit of luck. They had some injuries with John Morant. All of that stuff happens, and ultimately, the cream rises to the top, taking nothing away from the Warriors. But of course, injuries, sometimes even with Super Bowls, NBA Finals, injuries, people not being available for particular games, ejected, a la Draymond Green, and that whole situation with LeBron. These things can change, the outcome of a series or a game. So I like Denver and the Bucks, and ultimately, I think the Bucks will prevail. As hard as it is for me to say, I think the Bucks. I think Middleton. I think he is the difference, and he is very, very necessary in order for them to be successful.
Right.
But I think, N'Gai, real quick, we have a quick culture question for you.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully, this doesn't take us into a whole tailspin of another, longer. But real quick, there is talk that Elon Musk is going. Now he owns Twitter. There's a talk that Elon Musk is going to step away from Tesla. Have you heard anything about that? And what do you think about the state of Twitter now that Elon Musk has taken over? There's been a rise in certain types of conversations, and it's become maybe people that were banned are being brought back, people are being silenced, and give us a quick synopsis on this as we wrap up the show.
So one of Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez's advisors famously made this statement: every billionaire is a policy mistake. And I think Elon Musk is living proof of that. The fact that this man has demonstrated a certain amount of expertise in a couple of areas doesn't mean that that's transferable knowledge, experience, or wisdom. That's exactly what we're seeing with his stewardship of Twitter. Twitter is a social network. That means it runs on top of a technology stack. So there are technology things that affect its performance and affect the experience that we all have. But because he's putting all of his emphasis on his stated emphasis on the network part of it and not enough on the social, right? So this whole thing with the Twitter files and the scandal and whatnot and the secret cabal, and when you look at who's on the secret cabal of people who are deciding the reach of tweets and what to calling it shadow banning, or basically what to downrank and what to leave alone, it's exactly the people you would expect to be on a committee like that, right? It's the legal head of trust and safety, the CEO, what I'm saying? So what does that mean that it's a secret cabal? Like I feel like he is a troll. Like, I don't know how you guys feel about profanity on the show, but that's what they call it. He's a shit poster. Like, that's what he is. And he's trying to run Twitter by shit posting and, billionaire exceptionalism and all those things. Like, who spends 40 some billion dollars, 44 million? Who spends $44 to buy something with literally no due diligence? He declined due diligence on the company and then tried to get out of the transaction. Like, this is nuts stuff. Like, none of this is good for Twitter. It's not good for the world. So him stepping away from Tesla to focus on Twitter, like, please do not. Do less. Like, go back to Tesla and put Twitter in the hands of someone sane and knowledgeable who can figure out the actual challenges. Like, I mean, if I'm an investor in Tesla or SpaceX, like some of these other companies, like, he has phalanxes of engineers from those companies who are now at Twitter working on this full time. How is that okay? If I'm an investor in these other companies and you took this thing private, you bought it with your own money, why are the resources that are supposed to be enriching me going to this other company? Make that make sense. It does not make sense, other than billionaire exceptionalism, right? And so I honestly think the best thing for Twitter would be for him to walk away. I was very hopeful that the transaction wouldn't go through, but it's been a dark day, to be honest. And the last couple things I'll say, like, yes, so he is bringing back some of the worst of the worst. Nazis and transphobes and like other stuff, like kind of like people who were removed from the platform for good reason, right? He's brought back. Look at the whole thing with Kanye, right? He brought Kanye back, and within, was it even days, he's posting a swastika inside of a Star of David and going on his like anti-Semitic world tour, spouting all kinds of stuff on like Alex Jones and Proud Boy podcasts and stuff like that, right? Like, this is who Elon's riding with and whatnot. Like, again, billionaire exceptionalism, right? A very dangerous mentality. So, you know, and the last thing I'll say about the Twitter files, right, is the whole thing. It's like, they may have issues, like they're under a consent decree with the Federal Trade Commission, and they're also under the oversight of the European Union through the GDPR, right? Like a privacy act. So there are things that he's doing that may be against the terms, in violation of the terms of the consent decree with the Federal Trade Commission. Like, that's a real issue. When you're under a consent decree, that means that, like, it's not like you're just like going before a traditional judge or anything like that. It means you said you're going to do these things. Like, we found you guilty of something. You said you're going to run this company. And so, like, if you're not, like, we can bring down the hammer. We don't have to go through all the layers of red tape. But his mentality is like move fast, break stuff. Like, I talked to my wife about the idea that like celebrity and power creates a reality distortion field. And that field affects not only the people around the person, it affects the person themselves. So when you look at a Kanye, or you look at a Trump, or you look at an Elon Musk, if I had achieved the things that achieved, I'd probably be nuts too. You know what I'm saying? Because most human beings don't achieve those things, don't accomplish those things, don't have that kind of success, don't go against people saying you can't do this, can't do that, and come out on top. But we all hit the limits of what we can do. We all run into those limits, and each of those people hit those limits hard. And Elon, we are seeing the limits of what Elon is capable of in his abysmal stewardship of Twitter. That's what's up.
Wow.
That's good stuff.
Listen, there's nothing else to say about it. I mean, that is
right.
Listen, N'Gai, we absolutely enjoyed you. We have to have you back.
Time.
Oh
Yes.
man, once the
Yes.
playoffs start, once we're
Big
beyond NFL and now we get into the meat and potatoes of the NBA season, we have to have you back. I mean,
Got to, man.
we thoroughly enjoyed you. I mean, you have man, it was fantastic.
Look, man, I
except
love
for your Laker love,
I learned a lot from you guys. You know what I'm saying? You know, I love the back and forth. I love the camaraderie. I love the bickering. It's all hot. And you know, when it's Lakers Celtics in the finals, I would love to come back on the show.
All right, so we said we wanted you to come back. Now you're setting up something that it won't. That you just tell us you don't want us to. You don't want to come back, because if you're saying Lakers, it's not going to happen.
I have 50% say of this show. You will come back.
No. This is what he said. He said when the Lakers and Celtics are in the finals, we said we want him to come back.
But listen, like, which is a freedom of speech, is it not? Can he not say what he feels?
He said when it's the Lakers and Celtics in the finals.
If that's
we want him to come back, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so if it's Lakers and Celtics, that won't happen. So we want him to come back.
He will come back, because you know what?
Okay.
It is going to be Lakers and Celtics. You know what?
All
That's
right.
it.
Whatever.
Lakers and Celtics right there. And guys, we enjoy you, bro. That's
yes.
it, man. Lakers.
Thank you so much, guys. We'd love to come back.
Champions.
Yeah, exactly. Well, listen, it was another fantastic show. Thank you again for joining us, N'Gai Croal. Once again, everyone, like, share, subscribe to our Facebook and YouTube page, Brooklyn Beards and Ball. We appreciate it. Until next time, thank you. Peace.
Peace.